We've been having a conversation around dogs who have an insecure attachment style, specifically dogs who find all of their safety and security is wrapped up in being able to access their human. These dogs might suffer from separation anxiety, isolation distress, hyperattachment, and in some cases, they may display resource guarding behaviors around their human that are more tied up in access to safety and security and relationship than the more traditional ways that we think about resource guarding. And this commenter is saying, I don't know how to make my dogs feel more secure. So, when we want our dogs to feel safer in the world and not rely on us quite as heavily for that support, although interdependence is very important and normal, and we are social creatures, humans and dogs, and it's normal to lean on each other, we're saying, how can we do this in a more secure way so that the dog's safety doesn't depend on being able to access me? And I'm just some guy, but this is what I have seen be helpful. So the first step for me is making sure that the dog is being heard, that they have people in their lives who can hear them and validate how they're feeling. You're scared, you're frustrated, you're over aroused, and then can support them properly. Because being minimized, being invalidated, whether you're a human or a dog, is harmful. When our dogs feel like they are heard and they are understood, they start to feel more secure. I like to make sure that these dogs have a way to communicate their needs. Do they have a way to ask for affection? Do they have a way to say, no, I don't want to walk right now? Do they have a way to say, I'm not feeling good? A way that we can understand. And that really bleeds us into agency, ensuring that our dogs believe that their behavior has an impact. Two of the main opportunities I see for creating agency in our dogs' lives are through ensuring effective, clear communication, which a lot of times gets sold as us communicating clearly to our dogs, which sure is important, but it's also really important and often neglected that we understand what they're saying and what they need and what they want, and not so much what we think they should want or need. And choice, offering them opportunities for choice, whether that's where they go on the walk or which food they have for dinner or which toy they play with. Comfortable resting spots around the house, which leads us into another really important piece. So it's not only important that these dogs have safe and secure relationships with people, but also that they have safe places to exist. Hopefully that's their home, but for some dogs, it's not. And so we can create little sanctuary areas for them. It's about taking those spaces, whether it's a small part of a room or the whole house, and saying, how can I make this place less stressful for you? How can I set this place up to be a secure space for you? I find that pattern games help these dogs a lot. And I actually, in our pattern games collection, have a whole video on a couple videos, I think actually, on the intersection that I see between pattern games and attachment theory. But essentially it goes like this. With attachment theory, if you have secure attachment, the caregiver acts as a secure base and a safe haven. And that allows the learner, the individual here, to take risk. It gives them a safe place to go when the world is stressful. If you have a safe place to go when the world is stressful, and you have a secure base to return to when the world is stressful, then you are better prepared to strike out and take risk. And I find that pattern games can be really helpful with that. I want to acknowledge here that I'm jumping around. This list is in no particular order. We need to make sure we're satiating our dog's needs appropriately. And that sounds like a really obvious statement, but stay with me here. Our dogs have a lot of needs, more needs than we might consider. I like to reference the enrichment chart from Pet Harmony. They've divided enrichment into a whole bunch of different categories, including health, nutrition, hygiene, independence, safety, security, physical enrichment, mental enrichment, social enrichment, outlets for species-typical behaviors, sensory stimulation. I would add on to that list the ability to self-regulate, resilience. The environment is on that list. And just because a dog has activities in their life that fit into that category doesn't mean that it's the best way to meet those needs for that dog. Still, other categories might be undersatiated or even oversatiated. So considering the individual and their health and their developmental period and their arousal levels as they are right now and what's sustainable for the human and the dog, we can look at those needs and get them satiated appropriately and at the right level, and that's vital. I work on concepts with these dogs like learned industriousness. So increasing their challenges as their skill level increases and decreasing the challenge level as their skill level dictates so that they are well matched in their day-to-day, whether that's an enrichment activity or just, we're taking a walk, we're living life, we're going to visit friends. I don't want the challenge to be higher than their skill level. And I don't want it to be too low either. That can lead to frustration, apathy, boredom. But when we appropriately match the challenge and skill level, and we have more videos on this in our enrichment collection, then we can build what's called learned industriousness. And I think that can be very empowering for these dogs. I like to do activities that increase optimism and increase confidence, like nose work. Studies suggest that 2 to 3 activities of nose work a week where they're searching for a hidden item or scent can increase optimism in dogs. Nose work is also one of those things that we can teach in a secure setting and then move into other settings where a dog might be just the tiniest bit less comfortable, right? So not throwing them over threshold, but giving them a place to work within the challenge, and then they have this framework to follow of investigating, of navigating the environment. They go, I have the skills to handle this, and that's a big confidence booster. If your dog doesn't have the skills to handle it, though, it's not a confidence booster, and that's all up to their perception. Do they perceive they can handle it? Again, this is so important here to center the dog's experience. I also do work on just straightforward no-follow behaviors. I like a good relax on a mat combined with a capturing calm exercise. And the way I do this is often designed to also lower arousal to food, just because that can be an important thing to check off, so we can use food without creating arousal, but that's a separate topic from this video. Essentially, I'm working on capturing calm behavior as I see it. Whenever my dog is laying down and relaxing, I put that treat down. Typically at first they'll then get up and follow you, but after a while, they should just lay down and eat the food. And then while I'm doing that, I'm also working on a relax on a mat behavior that is environmentally cued. I have lots of options available to the dog. I generalize it really well to all sorts of beds, blankets, mats, etc., so that the dog starts choosing to lay down in those spaces more and more often. I put those spaces in spaces where the dog already likes to lay down and feels safe and is comfortable. There's no implied stay. We want to preserve the flight, and I find that the combination of those two activities also really helps us in seeing more relaxation, less following around the house, which can be nice, because especially if we're doing like a work from home situation, sometimes we see that the dogs aren't getting good sleep during the day because they're not getting quality sleep because they're up and down at every sound and movement. So I find that can be really helpful as well. So we have a lot of options, a lot of things that we can dig into, and this definitely isn't an exhaustive list. Every dog is going to be a bit different. I would be very interested to hear from others who are maybe seeing or have seen this this sort of insecure attachment, this hyper attachment, and either how that might show up or what has supported your dog or your client's dogs in moving through that to a place of more secure attachment.